Hey, do you like money? If you do, this video is perfect for you. We'll be covering 3 alternatives to professional movie props. Let's start with the lights. On YouTube, you'll often find people lighting the shots with 4 or 5 lights around them. Well, guess what? This lighting sucks. It's just not interesting to watch. What we want is dramatic and powerful lighting. For that, you'll only need 1 or 2 light sources. You can use a main light and a backlight. And the backlight isn't even necessary depending on what you're doing. So at this stage, you have 2 options. Or you build your light source, which will give you more freedom on where you can shoot. Or you can use a window, which works perfectly well too. Let's start with the first option, building it yourself. You'll need a shoebox, tracing paper, tinfoil, and any kind of LED lamp you can find. It has to be LED because otherwise the heat created by the lamp could burn the tinfoil and the box, which is dangerous, so don't do it if it's not a LED lamp. But I'm pretty sure you can find one around your house. Also, the tracing paper is optional. It's only if you want a more diffused light. If you want to keep your freedom on if you want it to be diffused or not depending on your shots, you don't have to include it in the actual light source. You could make a separate diffuser with tracing paper, or you can also use a shower curtain. It works perfectly well, if not better than the tracing paper. First, fill the box with tinfoil. Then at the bottom of the box, cut a hole that is approximately the size of your lamp. As I said earlier, if you want your light source to be more diffused, you can tape tracing paper on it, but it's optional. Once you've done this, your light is pretty much ready. This is my lamp. This is my projector slash diffuser, whatever you want. Put it inside, and it diffuses the light, and it makes the light source bigger, which creates a cleaner light. So this is the lighting without the diffuser. You can see like the shadows casting everywhere on my face too. And this is with the projector. You can see that the shadows are way lighter and less strong behind too. This truly depends on what you want to do. If you want a more dramatic feeling, you'll probably have to turn off all the light source in your set and only use one powerful bright light and cast it on your face. But if you want a more cleaner, more appealing, more neutral, yet still interesting light source, this is perfect. Now that you have your light, you'll have to learn how to use it properly. And this part of the tutorial you can follow along or with the light we've made or with a window. It's pretty much the same thing. What you want to do is to place the light on the side of the character, not in front. That will look too flat and uninteresting. Somewhere like this or like this on both sides is alright, depending on how strong you want your shadows to be. Experiment with your lights, this is how you'll get the hang of it. But what you want is to have shadows in one side of the face. And you want your camera to be pointing at that side of your face with the shadows. This creates depth and make it way more pleasing. And you'll see most professional films and even documentaries use this kind of lighting to light faces. The next thing you can use if you want to improve your lighting is a reflector. You can build one by just sticking white paper on a cardboard. This will allow you to manipulate the shadows without lowering or increasing the brightness of your lamp. Right now, I'm using my windows to weaken the shadow on my face, but if I close them, you can see that the shadows are way more powerful and way too dramatic. So this is where this guy comes in. Depending on where I place it, I can increase or lower the shadow. There's way less shadows, and like this, the closer it is, the less shadow you'll have. Like this is way too bright. That's already better, so you'll have to experiment. However, if what you want is more shadows and you don't have the option to turn off the lights on the other side of the room, what you can use is an obscure reflector, which is basically the same thing as this one, but with black paper. So basically, the light will be absorbed rather than reflected. Also, if you want to change the color of your lights, you can use these. Like, if you don't have them, you probably can find them at your school and borrow them. Basically, you can affect the lighting, the color of the light, to create the mood you want. Green, orange. Now, let's talk about green screens. If you want to change the background of your shots, you don't need a real green screen. Or rather, you can make one yourself. I'd say the best option if you can is to tape green pieces of paper on your wall. This will mimic nearly perfectly a real green screen. Unfortunately, I don't have enough green paper here, so we'll have to use another technique. But remember, these techniques work perfectly well as long as you light the green screen evenly. Another option is to use green or dark blue bed sheets. For example, here, I placed a blue bed sheet on my closet. Ideally, the color should be dark and there should be less fold on the sheet, but I did what I could. So let's see how it looks. If you have a green or dark blue one, that's perfect. Also, if you can have friends to help you hold it and to prevent any falls, that'd be ideal. But really, do with what you have and experiment until you get the look you want. Because the key of cinema is trial and failure. Of course you won't get it right the first time. Let's talk about Steadicams now. Steadicams are so expensive, but you don't really need them because there are so many tricks with your tripod you can do. Replicate steadiness of a Steadicam. Basically, you have 3 techniques to do steady traveling, so 3-point traveling. Basically, you want to place your tripod feet at 3 steady points of your body. So I use the shoulder and the lower belly. And like this, when you move, the camera will follow your movement in a nice flow. Then you have my favorite one, the shoulder traveling. Basically, you just wear the tripod on your shoulder. And for some reasons I can't explain, it makes traveling really clean and I like it. And I think it's the easiest. Then you have the blanket technique where you put your tripod on a blanket. This of course will be the steadiest technique because your tripod will move perfectly with the blanket. However, it's also the one that allows the less liberty because there's only a certain amount of movements you can do with the blanket. Locations. When filming on a budget, you might not always find the locations you want, and you might be forced to film in sets that are smaller than what you wanted. But that's alright, because remember, your audience only sees what you allow them to see. So what you have to do is move your actors around depending on where your camera is facing. I don't have actors right now, so I'll use this example by Film Riot. I'll link his video in the description. He explains it way better than me. So this is all you have to know if you want to make a movie without spending $1.